Well, everyone, it's time for us to go and take a look at the iPad 9 generation and see how it holds up against the iPad Air 5 and see which specific iPad you should go ahead and buy in 2023. Now, both these iPads are a little bit older now. They're not, necessarily the newest iPads. They're brand new. You can buy them brand new. The iPad 9 starts for $329. The iPad Air 5 starts at $599. So definitely a little bit of a price range difference, about $70 between them. So keep that in mind. But regardless, you're still getting an overall better iPad from the iPad Air 5, and that is the one I would probably recommend a majority of people to purchase. But I still think the iPad 9 is very, very good for the price tag, which is honestly pretty insane if you ask me. Now, starting off with the outside, the iPad Air 5 has a 10.9-inch liquid retina IPS panel on the front, and it's a very good panel. It's, pretty much almost edge to edge, not quite, but, for the basis of this video, we're calling it almost bezel-less. You have a very good display, it's not 120 Hertz or anything, but it's a good display, and there's really not a lot to complain about here. With the iPad 9, you're getting a little bit of a smaller 10.2-inch Retina IPS panel, so it's a little bit smaller, but it still looks very good. You're still getting true tone on both these panels. There is an anti-reflective coating on the iPad Air 5, but even that's not the biggest deal in the world. Both these iPads still look very, very good in my opinion. Now, the iPad Air 5 has a flat side to it. The iPad 9 has that standard round design. You're getting a lightning port and a headphone jack on the iPad 9. With the iPad Air 5, you're getting that USB-C port and a headphone jack as well. So a little bit of a difference from the I/O. I always prefer USB-C, and especially when you look at the iPad Air 5 having Apple Pencil 2 support, and that is something I actually do like a lot. But the iPad 9 does have Apple Pencil 1 support. It's cheaper, if you're kind of comfortable with it, then it's not the biggest deal in the world, but that is still one thing that kind of stands out to me from that perspective. On the back, you have flat sides, you have the Apple logo in the center, you have the cameras in the top left corner, and overall, it's a pretty familiar design on both. It's like the iPad 9 has that older design, the iPad Air 5 has that newer design, and it just kind of comes down to which one you prefer. Personally, for me, I like the iPad Air 5 more, but I think the iPad 9, for how much cheaper it is honestly not that bad of an experience if you ask me. So in terms of that kind of covers it up there. Now, in terms of the cameras, you are getting a slight difference in the camera quality a little bit. So with the iPad 9, you're getting a smaller 8 megapixel wide angle camera on the back. With the iPad Air 5, you're getting a 12 megapixel wide angle camera, but it's a bigger lens. You're able to do 4K video on the Air 5, only 1080p on the iPad 9. On the front though, you are kind of getting the same type of camera. You're getting a 12 megapixel ultra wide front camera. You have center stage capability, same type of resolutions, you can film it for the most part, and it's a good camera on the front between both. But I definitely do think that the iPad Air 5, because of that back camera, is overall the better sensor, in my opinion, than the iPad 9. So it's definitely not the end of the world or anything. It's not like the biggest difference in the world, but you are, as I mentioned, getting the better camera on the iPad Air 5 than on the iPad 9. So keep that in mind, but that kind of covers it up there. Now, in terms of the software longevity, I genuinely don't know which one's going to last the longest. I'm probably going to say, if I had to say it, the iPad Air 5. It may end up being the one that lasts the longest out of both of these, but it's still going to be very, very close. And I genuinely don't know if the iPad Air 5 or the iPad 9 is going to last the longest. We're going to have to kind of wait and see. But again, if I had to pick one, I think the iPad Air 5 is probably going to be the one that's going to last the longest in terms of software. Performance-wise, the iPad Air 5 has that M1 chipset inside. The iPad 9 has that Apple A13 Bionic chip inside. So the M1 chipset is still a very fast chipset. It's still very, very good. And the thing you have to keep in mind with that device is that is like a desktop level chipset that you have on inside of that iPad Air 5. Now it's still up to the apps and everything to kind of, tune their specific applications to use that M chipset, but that is still a tremendous chipset to have inside of an iPad. With the iPad 9, that A13 chip is still very good for the most part. Like, it's still fairly powerful, but it isn't as powerful as the M1 chipset. But for basic things, like if you're just typing up papers and taking notes and doing basic things like that, you're going to be perfectly fine between both of these iPads. But if you're trying to take it up a notch, the M1 iPad is definitely going to be giving you the better experience. There's no way to just prove it. Like, you're going to have to kind of test it yourself. If you're a basic user, the iPad 9 is going to be probably more than enough. But if you are planning on using this thing as almost like a PC replacement, the iPad Air 5 is probably the better way to go in my opinion. So to kind of sum up this whole entire video, what I'll tell you is I definitely do think the better value per dollar is still the iPad 9. I still think you're getting just an overall unbelievably good iPad on the iPad 9 for that price tag. With the iPad Air 5, I think it's a great iPad for its price. but it's not it's not an amazing price per value. Like, I think it's good, but it is kind of expensive to keep that in mind. But I definitely would say the average person would probably be okay with the iPad 9. But if you have more money, just go for the iPad Air 5. Like, it's a really good iPad as well. So that kind of covers it up there. If you have any other thoughts or questions, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that'll mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.